The Federal and SR Public Welfare Trust present the Pudukkottai Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Rupee Apex Group of Companies on Sunday, August 3.
The donor knows he is selling. The recipient knows he is buying. Now, this act was promulgated in 1994.
Yes.
There must be hundreds of scandals that have taken place in this country.
It definitely affects the trust the public has in the transplant system.
Whereas thousands are waiting. So how do you match this demand and supply? What prevents you from doing for living donation? That's my question.
The kidney sale racket in Namakkal has raised serious questions about the healthcare landscape in Tamil Nadu. It has shocked the people, and there are some critical details coming out of involvement of middlemen and hospitals. 2 hospitals have lost the license for kidney transplant, and there are further investigations that are going on. We have with us Dr. Amalorpavanathan to discuss more on this issue and to talk about the loopholes that need to be addressed to prevent such malpractices in organ transplant in the state. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us to discuss the recent incident of a kidney sale racket that was unveiled in Namakkal recently. First of all, when we talk about that, a system has to be in place to address the issues of organ related to organ transplant and organ donation. We have seen there have been multiple violations in this case. How do you see the loopholes that are there in the whole system of organ transplant in Tamil Nadu?
See, organ transplant in Tamil Nadu is regulated by 3 government agencies. One is TransTan. TransTan stands for Transplant Authority of Tamil Nadu. They deal exclusively with organs procured from deceased donors, that is victims of brain death, and distribute them according to the wait list maintained by Tamil Nadu government. By and large, almost totally, it is scandal-free because it's completely computerized and it's given according to the wait list. So till today, from 2008 when it was started till today, there has not been a single complaint that I am aware of,
Right.
of any criminality or any violation in organ distribution. This is about disease donation. All these problems come in live donations, where a living person gives his kidney either out of love and affection because he is near related. For example, a father giving to daughter or a son giving to mother, or some close friends giving purely out of love and affection. This is one sect. They do it altruistically,
Right.
because of their relationship, either friendship or blood relationship. It's not out of any expectation of material gains.
Right.
The other thing that is worrying, that crops up again and again, is the issue of poor people live to sell one of their kidneys just to get out of the debt trap they are got into. So there's a huge number of people waiting for kidney.
Definitely.
But there are very less number coming from disease donation pool. For example, in a year it will be 200 donors, which means 400 kidneys, whereas thousands are waiting. So how do you match this demand and supply? Cadaver alone cannot match. And related donations alone cannot match because many of them may not have related donors at all. Or the related donors might themselves be ill due to some other illness and medically unfit to donate. So many of them either go on lifelong dialysis, or this temptation of, I have money, why don't I buy from somebody who is poor? Why don't I buy it from my driver or from my cook or somebody known to me but who is poor but who needs money? So I have money, he has kidney, why don't we exchange them? So this is the most worrying factor, and there is always a middleman to bridge this.
Right. Yeah.
Once there is a demand-supply mismatch and both are eager to get matched, the matchman automatically appears, the broker. So that is how this keeps on happening time and again, however much the legal efforts are taken to curb this. Pallipalayam is the latest example of one such scandal,
Right.
which is very sad for a very progressive state like Tamil Nadu, which has such a high number of disease donation, which does some of the most complicated transplants in the world. To get into a scandal like that,
Right.
this is really very bad, and I wish the government takes very strict action to stop this once and for all.
Right, right. So you mentioned the involvement of middlemen, and we know that 2 hospitals' kidney transplant licenses have been suspended as of now. What kind of actions do you think that have to be in place to ensure that this involvement, because hospitals also have a role, these middlemen also get their way. So everybody is kind of responsible for this.
See, if you read that act carefully, anybody involved in organ procurement for money, that is commercialization of organ transplant, is liable for punishment.
Right.
Anybody.
Yes.
Now, if you take a kidney transplant, the donor knows he is selling, the recipient knows he is buying, the middleman knows he is brokering an illegal deal.
Yes.
The nephrologist who treats that person most certainly knows that he is not related, the recipient is not, donor is not related.
Right.
The surgeon who is doing the surgery also knows that the donor is not related to this. The anesthetist gives anesthesia without even verifying the bona fides of the case. And the hospital, just because it has a license, it doesn't verify the donor-recipient relationship and allows its place to be utilized for a criminal scandal like this.
Right.
And there is an authorization committee which sometimes allows these transplants only to find later on that these were really commercial transplants. So all these players, in some way or other, they are involved.
Right, right.
They may be directly, indirectly, with their full knowledge or without their knowledge. A transplant cannot happen without the active participation of all these partners. Now, this act was promulgated in 1994.
Yes.
There must be hundreds of scandals that have taken place in this country, not just in this case. Now go and look back. How many of these partners were individually or collectively punished in a way that sends a fear of punishment so that people will not do such kind
activities.
of criminal activities?
Right.
Virtually nil. If you look from 1994, very few punishments here and there, but not proportionate to the scandals that crop up from time to time.
Right.
Which means we are failing somewhere. Either the law is failing or the law implementers are failing.
Right.
So we will have to take a good, thorough look at the law and its enforcement mechanisms to see where we are missing.
Right.
And plug it there so that these scandals do not occur again and again.
Right.
Otherwise, this will become an ad hoc measure.
Right, right.
Suspension of the license for a hospital sometime. After some inquiry, some mild punishment will be given. They will go to the court and get their punishment reversed, etc.
Right.
And everything will be normal after a few years. So, if we want a permanent solution to stop this criminality, we will have to relook right from the way the act is written, right from the way the implementing organizations work. As I was telling you, the appropriate authority is ultimately responsible for all the transplant activity in the state.
Yes.
They grant license to that. But if you see, many of the small hospitals are also given license. I don't know how. And once license is given, nobody reviews whether good transplant activity takes place there.
There's no follow-up, basically.
Now, if you want data, for example, journalists want data. All of us want data. If you want to know how many transplants took place last month in Tamil Nadu, you won't get it. I would think that the appropriate authority's duty does not stop with just granting licenses. It is their duty to tell the public that so many transplants took place last month, So many are related, so many are unrelated, so many are cadaver, and so many has happened in these districts. Don't have to give particular details, but we need statewide data every
Information.
month.
Yeah.
And not only that, information about whether the donor is followed up after the surgery, whether the recipient is on regular follow-up. All these data can be legally collected.
Right.
The hospitals which undertake transplant have to legally provide these data to the appropriate authority.
Mm-hmm.
It is the duty of the appropriate authority to collect these details and put it in an anonymous fashion in the public domain so that people know that these things are constantly monitored. Once people know that these issues are constantly monitored, the level of criminality will come down drastically.
Sir, in this particular case, if we see, we saw that daily wage laborers were the target of the middlemen who were offering them money in exchange of kidney. So we've seen that there were forged medical documents and Aadhaar cards that were used for carrying out this. So somewhere do you see that the documentation process to allow organ transplants in the state, that itself needs to be reviewed and maybe reorganized to ensure that such incidents can be prevented?
Today, forging all the documents are impossible. You can forge some, but not all. For example, Aadhaar card. You can go back to the Aadhaar portal and verify that whether the Aadhaar card that is provided is
correct,
genuine or fake. You can go back to the register of birth and death to see whether the birth certificate given is
Correct.
genuine or fake. You can go to your ration card portal and see whether the ration card number what they have given, whether the details are there indeed. And the relationship certificate, if sometimes given by revenue authorities, you can go back to them and verify whether they have really issued these certificates or whether it's fake. So, if we are really earnest in finding out the genuineness of the certificates, there are ways to do it. The
Right.
question is, do we do it? And if we do it and find out that some documents are fake, what do we do with them? We just reject the case and send them, or do we file a police
Report it.
complaint and take criminal action? So, at least in once or twice, if you file criminal complaints against those who provide fake documents, the fear of law will not go to people. Unless there is a fear of law, fear of punishment for doing wrongdoing is firmly instilled in the minds of the people, you cannot curb such types of criminalities.
So like we know, like transplant monitors the cadaver donations and the whole organ donation system, right from the time a donor is available to the time a person gets a transplant. Everything is monitored. But when it comes to living donors, that seems to be a challenge because there's no such monitoring.
So that's a problem. See, 2008, Dr. Kalangir, former CM, started the cadaver transplant program. I was the first person to be involved in that program. Through years, it has evolved and it has already become foolproof and probably nationally and internationally recognized as one of the best systems in the world.
Yeah.
It didn't cost much money. All it needed was some attention to details and selecting and posting some good people to monitor
Right.
and putting all the data in public domain so that everybody can view it
Right.
and keep it above suspicion. If you can do for one aspect of transplant, disease donation, what prevents you from doing for living donation? That's my question.
Right. That can definitely be done for
That can definitely be done. The point is why it is not done for the past 20, 25 years. Now it is time now we start asking these questions. I think we need the same amount of transparency, ethics
Yeah.
built into living donations and put up in public domain so that public can verify and gain trust. Once that happens, the criminality will all automatically go down.
Right. So in this particular case, like before we wrap up, who do you think could have been the right responsible authority to prevent something like that from happening? And what kind of ethical violations, ethical boundaries can be set so that these ethical violations do not occur in the future?
There are two government organizations. One gives permission after due interview, video recorded, etc., and verifying the documents, give permission to go ahead with the transplant. That is authorization criteria. The other one is appropriate authority, which monitors all these hospitals, all the transplants, collects data. Both of them must sit together and devise a foolproof mechanism where every transplant is scrutinized very firmly, and the transplant details are immediately put up in website so that the public will also know that there is transparency.
Right.
And the hospitals are frequently inspected randomly, records are randomly checked, and donor and recipient families can be independently visited randomly to find out whether how they are doing, whether they have been monitored, etc. If you do it for 2-3 years, it will automatically become like a system.
Right.
Then you can reduce most of these criminalities.
Yeah. So more like an audit system also has to be.
Exactly. Your duty is doesn't stop just by granting permission. Your duty is to audit that it takes place, but it takes place in a legal way, and it is monitored continuously,
Right.
so that the recipient really benefits from the donation. Otherwise, what's the point of having a transplant and failing in 1 month or 2 months?
Right.
So,
Right. So lastly, coming to the public, when we see that such an incident happens, this definitely affects the trust the public has in the transplant system. How do you think, what measures, what message it sends, and what measures should be taken to ensure that the transparency in the system and the trust in the system is instilled in the public?
first I would tell this to public. Thousands of transplants happen every month. This is only one small scandal involving 5 or 10, or I don't know the numbers. So people should not be sensationalized by small numbers. When large number of good ethical transplants take place, they should not be sullied because of 1 or 2 criminalities of 1 or 2 criminals. So this is actually a one-off incident.
Right.
But it slurs the good name of ethical transplants. So treat it as an aberration, but stop these aberrations.
Right.
People should have trust in good ethical transplant which gives life to the recipients. And don't indulge in criminality.
Right.
There are always legal ways to do things.
Right.
Don't ever get into these illegalities and get into a mess, investigation, court cases, etc. It doesn't do any good to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Doctor, for
Thank
talking
you very
to
much.
us. Thank you, sir.